Welcome to your key discovery point. I am Brett Burney from Nextpoint, joined by Doug Austin of eDiscovery Today. And we're joined by someone else today, Doug. Tom O'Connor is here with us, officially the director of the Gulf Coast Legal Technology Center. But I think most of us know Tom in so many other different fantastic facets as just a good friend and an expert e-discovery consultant. So much so that we wanted to invite Tom on the Key Discovery Point, Doug, just to talk a little bit about a couple of projects that we have had the honor of working with Tom on. And you reported about this back in October, a little book that we call Artificial Intelligence for the Rest of Us.
Yeah, well, and I mean, it's the holiday season, so it's time to have Santa Claus on. So, we're
e-discovery Santa Claus.
Right? But yes, obviously, it's great to have Tom here, and I'm very interested to hear him talk about the new AI book for the rest of us, to come on the heels of the e-discovery for the rest of us that you all collaborated on. Was it last year it was rolled out?
That's right.
Last year. That's what I thought.
Yeah. We've had the book, The e-discovery for the Rest of Us, and we did that. So, Tom, you can tell a little bit more of the story, Tom, but I remember this book coming out several years ago, and we enjoyed it so much that we wanted to partner with Tom, and he was gracious to do so with us here at Nextpoint. And we have released this. It's been out now for quite a while, and we have thoroughly enjoyed it, so much so that, as you mentioned, we wanted to come back and provide another resource, artificial intelligence for the rest of us, Tom. And we're so glad that you were willing to do this.
Well, we did the e-discovery book, and artificial intelligence is so new that when we were writing it, we mentioned it briefly, but we really didn't dive into it. So the thought was, let's do a follow-up. And then the key, of course, is for the rest of us. The other thing is there's so much talk about GenAI and LLMs and large databases. So much of all technology that we talk about in our business is designed for big firms, big cases, federal court. But artificial intelligence is, as you guys both know, it's across the board. It sweeps across every facet of law firms, and regardless of size. And so it was, right for the perspective of the rest of us, because the small, and by small, I mean 100 attorneys or less, the ILTA definition of small. Small firms all the way down to solos they're feeling a little left out here on the AI curve.
Yeah.
So that was the hope, was we could give them something that would let them feel included in the discussion.
Well, we had some great folks working on it here at Nextpoint, Elizabeth Guthrie and Amanda Fong and some of our folks at our staff. And I'm so proud of the way that it came out, Tom, and the fact that it is really sort of that helpful book as you're talking about here. We go through some sections like the breaking down legal AI, just understanding some of the concepts in there, practical tips for adopting AI. I mean, you could probably find a lot of this in different places, but I just really appreciated the fact that we were able to bring all of this together. One of the sections here, and this is why we wanted to bring in Doug as well, was really the risks and ethics of AI. And Doug, you continue to do such an excellent job on eDiscovery Today to cover any new ethics opinions or any kind of coverage that come out from directives from like state bar associations, et cetera, about this. And we just thought maybe this would be a good thing to kind of talk about today from the key discovery point. I just quickly go through some of the posts that I found on your blog, even going back to December 2023, where the California Bar Association issued some AI guidelines. And then in January 2024, Florida issued some. A few months after that, in April 2024, New York State Bar Association. And then the middle of 2024, we saw Pennsylvania, which is a great opinion, come out with their in trends or sort of like their, I guess you would call it sort of an ethics opinion. And then lastly, you covered back in July 2024, the ABA actually came out and introduced at least an ethics opinion, or sort of a guidance on there. Doug, why don't we come to you first, just quickly? Like, there's a lot of opinions here, a lot of ethics, guidance, some directives there. What is sort of the themes that you've been finding from some of these as you've been covering them now over a couple of past years?
Well, and I think, first of all, we were talking beforehand, and Tom, of course, pointed out there's been a couple of new ones since, and kind of reminded me maybe it's time to go and kind of look at, what other new ethics opinions are out there. But one of the things that, of course, when the states were starting to get some of theirs out, and then the ABA put out a guidance opinion for theirs, and one of the things, of course, the ABA does a great job of is tying it to the basically the ethical rules, from a standpoint of competence and confidentiality and things like that. That's one of the things they've always done really well, is tying to those model rules, communications, fees, and just right down the line. They've really kind of hit it. And when you go down to that last paragraph, I think that really is a good way of summing up Formal Opinion 512 in terms of how they talked about, the duty of competence, other relevant ethical duties like confidentiality, communication with the client, and so forth. And lawyers really have to be vigilant in complying with the rules of professional conduct. So everything comes back to those rules of professional conduct with formal opinions that they do. And really a lot of the state opinions tie into those same concepts. And I think that's one of the keys. Every new one we get may be a little bit different and, a little bit unique. But still, I think it's good to be aware of them and good to be thinking of it in terms of your overall duties as an attorney.
Yeah, Tom, I feel like several of these, kind of like what Doug was talking about there, does come back. I mean, I really think about it from that competency aspect, right? Just understanding, that rule, or at least the comment A to model rule 1.1, is understanding the risks and benefits associated with the technology that you're using. GenAI, AI tools have fantastic benefits, right? I mean, we hear about that all the time from a lot of sales people, that it can really provide so many benefits, but there are certainly some risks that are associated with that. And it can be several levels. I think most certainly we think immediately about, hallucinated case opinions, right? More than anything else. And I know, Doug, you've covered this many, many times over. But there could be some other areas there, Tom, that I think that could be important too. Just understanding the risks generally of generative AI, or how that can play into what you're doing from a professional ethical standpoint.
Well, the bigger problem, the general problem, I shouldn't say the bigger problem, but I think the borderline problem, if you will, is something that the California Bar Touchdown said: the evolving nature of this technology.
Yes.
Technology moves fast. This stuff is like warp 6, right? I mean, things are changing so fast and so often. And, we've got just generative AI, LLMs. Now we've got small language models being introduced. We've got Microsoft just embedding everything into Copilot and making it part of the structure. It's not a separate thing. You're seeing some of the other products out there at some of the conferences that were held in the last couple of months, where it's just becoming a part of the operating system. So keeping up with that and the differences in how those operate is a real task. The number one risk that I hear from all sorts of attorneys, and the thing they want to know about first is, are you protecting my data? Client confidentiality. How do I know my data is not going to be used as part of a learning curve for the next firm down the road? Is it going to be siloed? Is it going to be protected? Am I ensured that confidentiality is intact? That's a strong concern of theirs, as well it should be. I think it's something that is the secondary thing. I think is what we see with judges. Judges are much more aware of AI, I think, than they have in the past been aware of other types of technology that have just hit the street. It's in front of them. Arguments are in front of them all the time. Concerns about not just hallucinations, but deep fake technology with exhibits. This is something that judges really have on their mind. So it's I hate to coin. Well, I'm not coining the phrase. I'm reusing the phrase, but it's a brave new world out there.
Yeah.
Lawyers used to be. Somebody asked me this the other day. What's the deal? I said, I remember Monty Ahalt, judge in Montgomery County in Maryland, one of the early pioneers in this world. He said, we're the only profession that works by looking in the rearview mirror. We don't want to be first. We don't even want to be second. We'll scurry to be third, maybe, or fourth. But that's hard to avoid now. This is all changing so fast. Being technically competent and keeping up with that learning curve is a difficult chore.
Yeah, and I just want to interject and kind of give you kudos, both you, Tom, and Nextpoint, in terms of writing a book about AI. Obviously, one of the things you worry about is, hey, the minute I write it, it's going to be obsolete.
Right.
So you have to write about something that really is timeless to make that book last. And I think the best practices you talk about and understanding the fundamentals and the terms and the concepts and things like that, that's going to be important today, tomorrow, next year, and what have you. Yeah, the way the technology is used has changed, but how you go about addressing that technology and the best practices for considering using it and collaborating with within your organization and with the and what have you, those concepts don't change. And I think that's I think that's one of the keys about writing a book like this is that you've touched on the AI aspects of it and really kind of covered what's going on with it, but you've also put in practical tips that are going to be just as important a year from now or 5 years from now as they are right now.
I'm smiling because it brings to mind a discussion, as you said, we're writing it. Is it going to be outmoded? The hardest part of the book to write was the glossary. Right?
That's right.
What about this? Should we say this? No, nobody says that anymore. What about this? Like when I said small language models, several people said, "Oh, that's not really a thing yet." And I said, "Well, you better not say that to Microsoft. They think it's a thing." So having a glossary was really the hardest thing for us to develop.
I can imagine.
Yeah. But to your point, Doug, that was sort of the goal that we wanted. We just wanted to at least provide some kind of a foundation and basis, because we just get these questions all the time. And I mean, all of us are trying to understand, the concepts. And Tom, you have such a great point there. It's not like the duty of confidentiality is something new, but it's like it's moving so fast and it's evolving. And it's so difficult, even for those of us that spend a lot of time geeking out on this kind of stuff, to keep up with it, much less if we were like a practicing law full time, from that angle and doing it, taking care of all the other clients and everything. I mean, it is a lot. It is a high pressure. And anyway, we just knew that we wanted something that was at least a grounding, a foundation, at least a place to start. Because again, the standard is still not perfection, right? They don't need to know everything about it, but you need to have a reasonable understanding about it. I think in one of your posts here, Doug, I remember you mentioned Bob Ambrogi, or you pointed to Bob Ambrogi's point, and Bob said you could just distill the whole ethics opinion down to a phrase: "Don't be stupid." Right? I think that's the way that he said it in there, right? Just to be understanding.
I think it may be up in that one there. Yeah, Bob. Right.
Okay. Good. I have to find it. I thought it was down here. Here it is. Right. Bob boils down the advice from the Pennsylvania and Philadelphia ethics panels very simply: don't be stupid. And I know that we laugh about it, and that's true, but it's just not as easy. To your point, you were just making sometimes, Tom.
Not anymore. This is crazy stuff that seems to be changing every time you look at it. Something is new or different. So and none of us went to law school to be technicians, right? Or because we had great math skills.
Right.
I lost it when I went into 6th grade and they started putting letters in with the numbers. Wait a minute, what's going on here? It's not fair.
They don't mix.
No,
Right.
no,
Exactly.
it's just not fair.
That's great. That's great. Well, Doug and Tom, thank you so much for coming on and talking about the new book, Artificial Intelligence for the Rest of Us. We'll make sure that we have the link in the show notes. If you wanted to learn a little bit more, you can always go to nextpoint.com to find out a little bit more. We have a place on the website where you can find out a little bit more. And Doug, thanks always, not just for your coverage about the book, because it's good. And I know you and Tom do a lot of other webinars together. So it's great to have you both on. But Doug, just thanks for your continued coverage of this, right? Not just in the ethics opinions, but anytime that there's things that come out about AI being applied and
speaking of somebody who works faster than we can keep up with.
Exactly.
I think Doug should be in Men in Black 3. I really question whether he's human. The 3 and 4 blog posts a day, it's just not right.
It is a little crazy. It's a little crazy.
Yeah, I'm either committed or out to be, is what I always say. So,
we do appreciate it, because the rest of us inform.
Well, and that's it. It's like, that's a good place.
It's giving me things to cover. I mean, you're a blogger stream. Give me stuff to cover. It's great stuff, great information for the industry and the audience of eDiscovery today. So keep up the good work, and I can't wait for the next book. And at some point, I think I got the third edition, third assigned copy from Tom.
Oh, good.
Half or so ago. I have to get eventually a signed copy of the AI for the rest of us.
I'll get you. I got a shipment of books the other day, so I'll get one out to you.
Fantastic.
Or actually, I've got the book. I just have to get.
Oh, well, there you go. That's even harder. Then you have to see.
Well, we'll figure it out.
We'll get it figured out. Well, thanks for joining us on the Key Discovery Point, which frankly, I think one of the best ways to keep up with a lot of this is exactly what we were just talking about. Make sure you go to eDiscovery today and follow Doug and all the things that he covers, because it's a good way at least to kind of keep on the top of all of the craziness that's a little bit happening and the changes going on. And thanks, Tom, as always. It's such an honor to work with you, especially on both of these books, eDiscovery for the Rest of Us, and now Artificial Intelligence for the Rest of Us. Thanks for joining us, guys, and we'll talk with you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, everybody. Bye, Brett. Bye, Tom.